Okay, now we're going. All right, everyone. My name is Lance Ash, and I'm sitting on the sofa with my wife Bonnie, and she has something to say.
Nothing but worry.
That's the name of this program. And very disappointed in everyone. I only got one view for the last episode, and that was me. All right.
You mean for this show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't care.
The
We do it for ourselves.
yeah, why don't get the word out? Um, so as we mentioned last week, came into a little bit of a windfall, and we're paying off family debts.
Yeah.
Taking care of all business. So maybe I'll be able to retire one day. Um, so what's up with you today, Bonnie?
I am feeling a little better than usual because we're out from under. We're not drowning. But at the same time, it's countered every time I read the damn news.
I think we got to stop reading the news. I just think it's just, you know.
When the kids were little, 9/11 happened. They were 5 and 3. And that whole period of Bush being in office, I just disappeared. I was an ostrich, head in the sand. And that's the way I got by that period. I can't seem to escape it this time, though, because we've got this attention whore in charge of the country. And I mean, this week, somebody fainted in the Oval Office. And there are great images of the guy on the ground being surrounded by all these people, except Trump. Trump in the foreground, looking disgusted, like, ugh, he's taking the attention away from me.
He looks like that's. He looks like he's staring at somebody clean the toilet because that's just not the job he does. That has nothing to do with me. That is outside my life experience or or my status. So I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. I guess the thing that bothers me most about this week are the food stamps being cut off.
Mm-hmm.
For us, that's very personal.
Yeah, we were on food stamps for a little while.
Yeah, when we first got together and had the children, we had basically one working car between us. And the cost of getting another car, the cost of daycare, especially for infants, it just didn't make any sense. So I stayed home with the kids, and Lance worked at the university. And they paid terrible wages. And we ended up on food stamps. And I did WIC. I was breastfeeding both the children, so I got full supplements for myself. And then as they aged, then they got different supplements for themselves, from juice and peanut butter and cereals and baby cereals. And WIC was the best program I've ever seen. And I could even get beans on the thing for protein, dry beans.
Yeah, you used to make that 17 bean soup or whatever it was, comes in a bag with the little
Yeah.
package of seasoning, and cook it in a crock pot or something. It was great.
We had a old orange crock pot that your grandmother had left over at the house where we were living.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would get that occasionally. Couldn't get that on WIC. I could only get like a pound of lentils or something. And that's when I began cooking dry beans. I've been following all the news stories about people saying that they don't have money for food. And a lot of these people who are on food stamps are working poor like we were. And so their choices are: you pay the rent and keep the power going, or you get food. You can't afford all of it. And they have to make these terrible choices. And I got to thinking about the choices that we made when we were really poor. I used to take grocery bags, those plastic bags, and bag up each meal as we bought it. So I planned out every single meal. One pasta, one can of vegetables, one starch or something that was in a bag. And the whole pantry was filled with these things, these meals in a bag. We had some friends at the time that came over, and we had to share food with them because they were moochers. And they asked me about it, and I said, well, we're so poor that... And they never did get the hint, maybe you should contribute.
You know, at the time, well, for me personally, I just was like, well, this is the way that it is. I didn't feel like we were... I was worried about the floor caving in. I will say that, because if you dripped water on that board, it would just start to swell up and turn into mush.
What were you saying about worry?
Well,
You didn't worry about it
I
either?
did worry about that because no, it's just that I didn't feel poverty stricken. Put it that way. I mean, I knew that we didn't have much, but like your dad said to you one time about the old place, you turned it into a home.
Yeah.
It was always very cozy, and you did what you could.
Yeah, I remember sewing covers for the cushions, and I had a nurse come over with the second child. We had a nurse program where they would visit you in the home, and she was shocked at how neat and everything was. And I was like, this is what you do. And she's like, what smells so good? I'm like, it's black bean soup. How do you make that? And she herself was a Mormon. She engaged me in a conversation about having stockpiles. And I said, well, I use dry beans. And so I made it with black beans. And I talk about having the masa flour and the tomatoes and the chilies and stuff in it and some other ingredients. And she's like, wow.
But isn't she the woman that said, who's been helping you clean? And she said, I've been doing it all by myself.
I've been doing it myself, yeah. There was nobody to help out.
She said, well, you shouldn't be doing all this.
Well, I didn't have any choice. And your parents were working. My parents were working and out of town. And it was hard to get babysitters or anything like that for us. And whenever I had to take the kids to the doctor, I'd have to call someone and say, can you take me to take the child to the doctor,
Remember, we had to take Reed down to the Oglethorpe Health Department, and they had to weigh her. But she didn't want to be held by that woman. She was just kicking and throwing a fit. And she said, well, we have to weigh her. You can't, re-qualify for a wig. Yeah.
Eventually, I just put her in a little wrap or something it was this metal weighing pan.
Yeah.
Just one of those things that hangs. And so I got it where it was a little bit less cold, and I just put her in it. We sat for a moment, she just screamed, and then... So, poor little thing.
Yeah. Remember, they give her shots in both legs at the same time.
That delayed response when
Yeah.
she's like, oh, and suddenly starts crying.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible.
That job you had at the university, I know how much you really enjoyed it. But it was a shitty job because it was an 11-month job. They forced you to take a month off.
Yeah, but not long after that, I became a full-timer,
And then they went and changed the president to this old Republican, Moneybags, and he raised the rates on health care. He started charging for parking in the far-off places where we were, and we couldn't afford to stay there. You had to go back and start working where you're at now. And then your salary doubled that first year, but we were still on food stamps.
Yeah, but then working the night shift triggered the headaches from either an actual tumor or just a non-functioning pituitary gland with scar tissue next to it. And then I had to have surgery. I hadn't been at the post office for but maybe a month or two. And then I had to go through all that radiation treatment and all that
6 months
shit.
in, you were doing the radiation treatment, and we didn't know if you would be covered under FMLA because you hadn't been there for a year.
That's
Full-timer.
why I was on day shift for 7 months, because I was
Yeah.
going. That was
You were
right.
doing
The
the
radiation.
radiation
That's right.
treatment.
Okay.
It was every day for 6 weeks straight, and then you had numerous follow-ups and assessments and stuff.
Yeah, I never should have done that.
We just burned through so much money at that point.
I think I've mentioned this, but I'm saving a story for when we actually have a camera, because some stories I have to act it out. But Dr. Shaw was the head of the radiation place that I went for the treatment, and he was this old Indian guy, and you could tell that he had been raised in thrifty circumstances because he didn't want to waste money. And this whole story about him and the batteries and the little eye exam thing is hilarious.
The batteries every single time and put them back in every single time.
He had to check my eyes because the pituitary gland, if it has a tumor, can press down on the optic nerve. Anyway, so he had one of those eye things that you look through and it shines a light in your eye. You can see inside your eyeball, and it has batteries to run the light. And he kept the batteries separate from it. So every time he would come in, talk to me for a second. He said, "Oh, I'm going to check your eyes now." And he would take the batteries out of the drawer and the little eye scanner thing and put the batteries in, turn the lights off, and check my eyes. Well, this time the batteries were dead. And he couldn't believe it. He slapped the thing this way and that way. He was going like, and so
obviously frustrated that he would have to
get new
buy
batteries.
New batteries.
So he shakes his head sort of and leaves the room and comes back with a brand new unopened package of batteries and tears it open and puts them in. God, it was hilarious.
Do you remember who we saw at the office one day? At the radiation clinic.
In the waiting room?
Will.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot about that.
He was dying of what? Lung cancer?
He had lung cancer. He was a bad smoker. He was a super older guy, old man. Well, he had to be something like 70. He had to be, because he was a Korean War vet. He had one of his lungs shot out in Korea, and he still was a big smoker. Anyway, he was a supervisor at the post office, and he had to quit finally because he had cancer. So I'm waiting at the waiting room in the radiation place, and he is in there. And he's like, comes over to me. Oh, hey, because he was so happy to see me. And he goes, "What are you here for?" I'm like, "For radiation." He goes, "Yeah, the radiations can be bad, but it's nothing compared to chemo. The chemo is horrible." I thought, oh my God, I do not want to know.
Yeah. They did a chemo treatment for Peter. They would hook him up and once every 6 weeks and put in this medicine for
Did it make him sick?
It would just leave him sick for a couple days. It would just leave him nauseous and just his stomach was upset. It was really sad.
Isn't AI supposed to cure cancer any day now?
Oh, any day now. That and crypto's going to save the world too.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But I don't want to get into all that medical shit because I have some beefs about it.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we first started going to Van Dyke, who was, it was my second pituitary gland surgery, and the surgeon said, "Well, you really ought to start going to an entomologist because this affects..."
Endocrinologist?
Endocrinologist. Oh my God. I said entomologist. Because you might have insects growing inside your butt. Oh, no, endocrinologist, because the pituitary is controls all these glands that produce hormones. Well, why didn't you tell me this back in '89?
When you did the first
Yeah, maybe all this would have been avoided. Anyway, so I started going to this endocrinologist, and he didn't like me at first, and we didn't like him. And you remember that one time?
Really gruff.
Well, you remember one time he's like, "Well, just comes right out with these orders. You're going to start taking this pill and this pill and this pill and this pill." And then, okay, go home now. So next time I saw Shaw, the radiation guy, he's like, well, you went to see Dr. So-and-so. Yeah. Well, did he say this? Yeah, he said this. Well, did he say how long you have to take it, or this? No, he didn't tell us anything. And he was so upset that the endocrinologist didn't tell me all these details behind the orders that he called him up and fussed him out. So next time I go see the endocrinologist, Bonnie's with me. He was mad at me and was like, well, Dr. Shaw called me and blah, 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 blah.
He really was one of these people. He had routines. I began to see him later on, and he'd come in and he'd touch my neck and look at my scars, and he did the same thing every time. Are you having problems sleeping? Are you having problems with temperature? Are you having... He had a thing. He just had... It was by rote. Memorized all these things. And I honestly think that when he had dealt with you that first time, he just said it by memory and not realizing, oh, I need to tell this person this is complete hormone replacement therapy. You will be on it for the rest of your life, and it will change as you age.
He was acting like he had already told me all this, and I had just ignored him or just failed to listen. But anyway,
I had the brain tumor.
I wound up going to see him for 20 years.
And we became very fond of him.
On the 10th anniversary of going to start seeing him, I said, well, by the way, this makes 10 years I've been coming to see you. Oh, really? Well, I got to check you for a prostate, so if you'll pull your pants over and take a deep breath. That was our celebration for our 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
He came to one of my art shows downtown.
Yeah, I remember that.
That would have been 2001, I think.
Christ, that was a long time ago. My dad ended up going to him as well. And my dad started seeing him before I started seeing him. And so they went in and they removed this 5-inch mass from my throat. And the person who did it did not put me on any type of replacement hormones. And so by the time I left the hospital and got in to see Van Dyke for the first time ever as an endocrinologist, I had been 2 weeks without any thyroid pills in my system. It was less than 2 weeks. It was a week after. And I had no thyroid hormones in my system. And I called my dad and I said, I need for you to drive me to the endocrinologist. Something's really wrong. I can't stop shaking. I'm really upset, etc. So he comes and picks me up and takes me to Dr. Van Dyke. It's my first time seeing him. And I said, I know this is the first time, but something's really, really wrong with me. And I'm very highly strung, very highly emotional. I've got just shaking and having problems sleeping, etc. He goes, did you drive yourself here? I said, no, I can't. I'm shaking so badly. He goes, who brought you here? And he got the nurse to bring my dad into the room, and he goes, is she normally like this? This emotional? And my dad goes, no, she's not. It was like he had to hear it from another guy to say, this woman is not this emotional usually, And then he honed in. He said, well, what kind of thyroid medicine are you on? I said, I'm not on any kind. He goes, the surgeon who took it out didn't put you on anything right away? I said, no. He goes, well, that's the problem. And it was like, for him, it was obvious. Why couldn't this? And he really was rough and gruff until you got to know him. And then you'd come in, you'd have a book, or you'd be doodling, and he'd go, what are you drawing? What are you reading? And engage you on a personal level.
When I liked going out there when he had that office out there on the way to Jefferson. But when he retired and I had to start going to this new place, it's horrible. It's the waiting room is a stone box, and it's decorated in tones of gray from Hobby Lobby School of Design, and it's
My
just
God. It's a hollow box. And they have these weird air fresheners that stink up the place. It's like walking into some kind of gray open house.
and now they have a radio or thing set up with some satellite internet music service thing, playing top 40 crap from the last 15 years, and it's just I told her.
So not necessary.
You got to turn that music off. Well, when you come in, you can tell the people behind the counter that you don't want to hear the music. I don't want to be put in that position. I'm the
Yeah,
patient.
I
I'm the
know.
customer.
I know. Another thing that gets on our nerves is the ever-present television in waiting rooms. Nobody's looking at the TV. Everyone's looking at their goddamn cell phone. Why do they even bother with the TVs anymore, you know?
Oh Lord.
It's been a long week for you, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You've got 2 more weeks before you're off for a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
They're making you work Veterans Day, which stinks.
I'll be off 9 days.
Thank God.
I'll turn 56 that week.
My God. I need to drop you and get a nice little hot young thing.
Okay.
Actually,
You gonna-
today you were walking across the parking lot twice towards the car while I was waiting for you. And each time as you're walking across, the sunlight hit the gray in your beard. And I thought, that is so damn sexy. I think at one point I said, ooh, silver fox or something. And you had on that good blue shirt that brought out the blue in your eyes.
it would be great if my hair would turn gray before I have a significant bald patch. That would be the best thing. I think I could, slowly
So
get used to
you
the
want it
bald
to be
patch.
as gray as mine?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could get used to the bald patch if it was already gray.
Ah.
Yeah.
Be less noticeable is what you're saying.
Well, it'd be a thorough change, a total change.
We'll just bleach out your hair, babe.
No, I'm done with that.
You
I was a
full
blonde when we
expression.
met.
Yes, you were.
I'm trying to finish a painting this weekend because it didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted, so I just want to be done with it.
We got to see our daughter today.
Yeah, it was great seeing her.
She came by to get money and coffee. It was a nice visit with her.
I can't believe she's going to be 30 this upcoming year.
Oh my God.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
I'm reading the last Kurt Wallander book, and he's 60 in the book. And the theme is his impending mortality, And he's only 60. But at the same time, his daughter's asking, it was his daughter in the book. I'm near the end of it. She's asking him, grandfather, I think he was gruff and whatever because he was afraid of death and blah, blah, blah. She goes, are you getting that way too? And he's like, I can't remember what he said, but, I don't know. I don't, my philosophy has developed to the point where I'm not really afraid of death anymore. I don't want to die right this minute, but I just don't, I've purged myself of a lot of that indoctrination as a kid shit, I wanted to ask you about your dad, by the way. You brought him up, so. But say what you're going to say first.
Ree got upset when she found out about Jane's death and the death certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had dementia, and hand in hand with that is malnutrition.
Mm-hmm.
They just stop eating at the end. And for her to hear that, she just broke down in tears.
Really?
Yeah, it really affected her badly.
I only got choked up the first second.
I got upset when I read the obituary. It was not full of religious bullshit. It was a nice overview of her life. And it just made you realize it was the life that was over, you know? It was sad.
Um,
What were you going to ask me about my dad?
well, I was going to say, sorry, I don't like to toot my own horn, but
Oh, you don't? Since when? When is this? I am married to the most vain man I've ever met. You are a very vain man.
well, this doesn't
And
involve
you are
personal beauty.
proud.
This,
Right. Take on personal
I
space.
think I make not just have made the effort, but make the effort to try to continue to grow and learn. And I think you would agree, put it that way, that your dad is somebody that has continued to try to learn and grow as he's gotten older. He's 80 or something.
He's in his 80s. He's well into his 80s now. My dad has, God, he has never stopped learning. My grandmother once told me the first day of school he cried on his way, and then we could never get him out of school after that. He went 12 years of school, and then he went another 12 years of college, and he just won't stop learning. And she was right. He just, even when he finally landed his ultimate job working for the U.S. government, he continued to take classes, whatever classes they offered, so he could move ahead and go. He went through all these programs. He was part of the whole group that introduced personal computers onto the desk of the employees. He set up the training, and then it wasn't enough. He became the public speaker for Social Security. You needed to have your group of retirees talk to about their upcoming retirement. You called him, and he came down and gave a lecture about what people could expect from their Social Security benefits, from Medicare, Medicaid, and he was so good that he became the guy in the state. He was recommended with different, the university system and different corporations. They'd call and say, "Can we get that guy? He was really good." And then that wasn't enough. He decided he wanted to understand small motors better. He went and took a continuing ed class about how to repair lawn mowers and small engine repair. And every single time I have a question about a cell phone, an app, a computer program, a new tablet, whatever, I call him and he finds a YouTube instructional video. He said, "I think this is the best one for you," because he uses all of those type of things. He's still learning to this day.
Yeah.
He's an amazing person, my dad.
I can't remember what made me think of that. I wonder if it was trying to learn French or not. Thought of it the other night at work. Because we have no topics this week. Because we're, the decadent rich now. So
What?
we're the decadent rich now. We have no ideas in our head.
Today we went out and bought a lottery ticket because we realized just because we got the house paid off, it doesn't mean that we're in any way, in any shape, rich people. We are just as thrifty. Last weekend we went to the Dollar Tree. I looked at Lance and said, "We could win $1 million, $1 billion, and we'd still be shopping at places like this." This
Yeah.
weekend we were talking about, maybe. I mentioned Thai food, you mentioned Agua Linda, and then I said, "But we've got leftovers in the fridge, and I've got the ingredients for soup," and so we came home, we didn't eat out.
Yeah, I see no point in that either.
Yeah.
Well, it is getting cold at work, and
Monday night's supposed to be the first big freeze of the season.
yeah, I need to get some pine straw to insulate my little plant out there.
Yeah.
Oh, mercy. Getting sleepy again. We'll get some more tea in a minute. can't think.
So work's the same old crap, huh?
Yeah, I'm just tired of it. I get sick of it, so I don't want to discuss it really.
I'm sorry.
So many little tiny details that add up to total negligence and lack of foresight.
Well, you know, like I mentioned today, though, you're fortunate to have the job you have. You have job protections, you have full benefits, excellent health insurance for the most part. Kind of expensive, but. And the jobs report came out for October. Year to date, they've lost 1.1 million jobs this year. And October had the most job losses in over 20 years.
Mm.
And then all these federal workers are not getting paid right now. They've just lost their third paycheck. The first one was a partial, and then the past two have been missing altogether. People are being forced to go to work.
Oh no.
One lady said she's the union rep for the TSA in like Philadelphia or something. I saw an interview with her. She said they're saying, if you're going to call in, you better have medical documentation. A lot of our people don't have the money to even go see a doctor at this point. They don't even have money to get gas for their car. They're having to borrow or charge gas. She said, for me, it's the cost of childcare. I had to call out because I couldn't afford childcare.
Yeah, well, I think maybe, a lot of the issue is Americans have created this bad word on the par with fuck and shit. It's socialism, and so everybody's so scared of it. Nobody wants to say, well, yeah, our policies and programs are socialist, yeah, or try to lean in that direction because they'll go, oh, that's mark of the beast or Soviet shit.
Or
But
anti-capitalist.
but now you've got the guy elected president of New York is an out and out
You mean
socialist. What did I say?
You said president.
Mayor of New York is an out and out socialist, and I think the young people are shaking off. Once again, this happens all the time. They're shaking off prejudices from a previous generation and going, well, yeah, we've studied, we've been to college, we know socialism is not this bugaboo where we all worship Satan. And so maybe in a generation or two, if we can hold on, we'll have something decent here in America.
Probably not. Apparently, young men are becoming more conservative as young women become more liberal. And it's just adding to the divide between male and female, the disconnect, the discontentment between the two. I don't know.
I think as a whole, the generation is becoming more liberal and more educated as to what terms mean. I was raised to believe that what I am now is a liberal. But apparently just some people, liberal is just, oh, that's old-fashioned, wishy-washy type, half-assed left-wing politics. Today we're called this. Well, I don't really see a difference, to be honest with you. You can have a committed liberal, or you can just have this sort of a, what is that word they used to use in cocktail liberal? Is that what it was?
I don't
I can't
recall.
remember.
You're the one that read Buckley who would have used the phrase.
No, it's not. It's like suburb liberal or something. I can't remember. Phrase from the 70s in the New York area.
I don't recall what it is. I know what you're talking about, though.
Anyway, like a couple of years. What?
The thing is that we do not have a purely capitalist system. We live in a mixed economy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's balanced out. And there is so much fucking corporate welfare. Anytime there's a stadium to be built, anytime there is a factory to be built, this corporate welfare comes out. They pass bonds and extra taxes. They give tax breaks so that the stadium owner will raise the old one and put up a new one in its place in a new area. And they promise to run the metro right out to them with special bus routes. Then they demolished a couple of old neighborhoods. I did this
And
in L.A. for the stadium there. Took out an entire Hispanic community. And then they put up this giant stadium for these millionaire, billionaire owners to hire people who become millionaires in their own right. And then, like, Caterpillar came and put in a factory here, and they gave him $20 million in tax breaks, $1 million a year over 20 years.
well,
And then they put in all the infrastructure, all the water lines, all the sewage and stuff for free, but not really for free because everyday taxpayer had to pay for it. It wasn't the billion-dollar corporation paying for it.
and you got to think that a lot of that is ego. It's like, well, I'm a billionaire owner of a big football team, but so and so built a bigger stadium. Now I have to build a bigger stadium. What was wrong? What was wrong with the old one? Well, we didn't have enough ad space in the interior. Just stupid
crazy.
shit.
Yeah. And so they bitch and complain about somebody having SNAP benefits because they're poor and they're working at a job that doesn't pay them enough to meet their needs for rent, heat, transportation, and fucking food. But oh no, that SNAP recipient is somehow or another the bad guy when Elon Musk is getting paid, what is it now, $1 trillion?
Well, the pay package could make him $1 trillion, but that is all that just shows you that the whole thing is blatantly corrupt because there's no way he deserves anything with Tesla's in the toilet.
Yeah, just constant decline.
And I want to point out something. People like us are always talking about how the modern day democratic socialist or socialist democratic, whatever the hell it is, governments of Europe, well, they, I know sometimes we come across like thinking, like preaching that, that's a perfect place to live, and those countries are perfect and ideal, and we know there's problems, but the difference is in
There's
Europe.
a safety net.
Well, in Europe, the logical, rational, union-oriented socialist alternative to all the spectrum of political and economic proposals is perfectly legitimate. But here, that option, which is
Satanic.
extremely reasonable and backed by experiential evidence around the world of where it's worked, that's a no-no. You can't even mention it as a viable option in the political realm.
We are so hidebound to these ideas of puritanical work ethics that if you haven't worked for it, if you haven't earned it, you don't deserve it. Mm-hmm. You don't deserve health care. You don't deserve food. You don't deserve decent housing. You don't deserve paid time off. You don't deserve maternity leave. You don't deserve this because you haven't tried hard enough. And that's absurd. That's obscene. We've got these people who are working 40, 50, 60 hours at crappy jobs like at Walmart and McDonald's, and they're doing an honest day's wage of work and sometimes a half a day or 2 days for the thing, and they still don't have enough money to get by. But that bigwig who is in charge gets paid 15 or 50 or $500 million for what?
Well, I
can't figure it out. He's not out there flipping the burgers or mopping the floors.
I'll tell you a funny story. I used to work at McDonald's a couple months, many years ago, and over the time clock thing, there was a big poster, and it said, "Know your rights," and it's all this gibberish. But in amongst that, it said, after 1 year of employment, you are entitled to a day of paid vacation. And it said, 1 day, and it said, after like 5 years or 10 years or whatever, employees permitted to apply for a second day.
Oh my God.
No, I'm sorry. It was a week. It was a week vacation. Apply for a second week. But apply for it. It's not automatic. You got to fill out some paperwork to see if you can get that extra week.
Jesus. You're at what, 5 weeks off every year, paid.
Yeah, I think that's what.
Plus
I think it's a maximum.
11 or 12 paid holidays a year. It used to be 10, but they've added Juneteenth and something else, haven't they? Didn't they add something else?
No, but you remember when they had Juneteenth this year, Trump made this statement. I think we have too many federal holidays, too many days where people get paid for not working.
He's such an asshole.
I really, honestly, I don't think he gives a flying fuck. I think his attitude's basically, as long as I'm the center of attention and I'm president, I'm willing to do whatever you people suggest to me. Well, Mr. President, we think it would be best if you shot abortion providers in the streets. Okay, sure, I'll come around, as long as I get to keep playing this role.
Oh, I love it. Last week he was on 60 Minutes, and they asked him, well, what about your pardon of blah, 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 some crypto financier? And he is, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And then one of the late night guys played a clip of Trump saying something about Joe Biden doesn't remember such and such, he shouldn't be president.
Well, he said, they asked him, what about the people that Biden pardoned? He goes, well, I don't even think he really knew whom he was pardoning. I think it was the auto pen that signed those pardons.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I don't know who the fuck this is that I pardoned. I don't know what.
Basically, Don Jr. came to him and go, Daddy, I need this guy to come out and help me with a crypto scheme so we can get more bribes, dude.
Yeah. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Another thing, this election of Mamdani in New York as mayor just had all the basic Islamophobes come out with all the bullshit.
I hate to say it, but on screen, Stephen Colbert had a list of celebrities. He didn't read all of them that endorsed Cuomo. And he didn't mention this, but in amongst the list was Woody Allen. And I just thought, is it because he's afraid that he's a Muslim? Is he thinking that he's got...
Well, Deborah Messing, Will and Grace, the actress who played the liberal, gay-friendly person, she came out and called Mamdani a jihadist.
Well, the thing is about Woody Allen, he was all through the 70s and 80s, and as far as I know, he was always very liberal and always on the Democratic Party's side. So I don't know why he would,
Well, the thing is the Republicans jumped on the whole thing. He's a Muslim, he's friendly with Muslims, he's pro-Muslim, he's pro this, that, and the other, Islam, just constantly going on. But at the same time, Trump received a plane from a Muslim emir. He has handed over part of an Air Force base in Idaho to a Muslim country to do training. Jared, his son-in-law, has a $2 billion investment from Saudi Arabia's Muslim family that's in charge over there. And I mean, it's just one thing after another. They're constantly accepting gifts and crypto coin payments from these folks, but no Republicans criticizing Trump for, going over there and shaking hands, befriending, taking money from, and giving away American soil to Muslim people. But yet, a Muslim mayor in New York City is just one step too far.
Yeah. I wonder how much the socialist thing plays into it, too.
Oh, it does. It does. But again, there is the contradiction. The Republicans want to give the wealthy all these benefits, all this welfare, but they're not willing to help out people who are working class with any kind of assistance.
Yeah.
Rent caps, caps on prices for food in certain stores, things like that.
We're going to
better busing system,
I can't remember the German phrase for it is Themawechsel. We're going to change the subject for just a second, okay?
Oh, okay. Are we?
Yeah, we're gonna talk. This is Lance's Music Minute, if we're gonna call it that.
Oh.
Bonnie and I've been planning to play this in the car for Bonnie, and we got to listen to it in the car today.
Oh yeah.
David Bowie's, probably overall my favorite David Bowie album, Black Tie, White Noise. And there are two versions. The music for the album started off as music he composed for his wedding to Iman. Is it Iman or Imam? Iman. Iman. And so it has two different versions of the wedding song, and one is vocal and one is not. And we listened to the vocal one in the car, and it's got his voice is great, isn't it?
It's lovely. And, of course, we get to listen to his cover of Scott Walker's song Night Flights.
Yes, it's fantastic.
I personally think it's a better cover than the original. But,
Maybe.
you
know. But I was telling Bonnie, this album, I don't know for sure, but he plays a hell of a lot of saxophone on this record.
Yeah.
And it may be the record he's played the most sax on, except for maybe something on the Berlin trilogy. But I love the way he plays sax. It's this primitive, one note at a time thing. Well, that's obviously, but anyway, so I told Bonnie, I had heard this record like 100 times before I realized that was him playing the sax. I didn't know he played the sax when I first started listening to David Bowie. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I've liked that record ever since it came out. That was 92.
Christ.
Or 93.
The only thing that could have made it better when we were out today listening to it is if the trip had been one way, 80 minutes,
mm-hmm.
and it was nighttime, and the stars were out, and the sky was clear. It's one of those things, there's a certain drone in the background that gives it this mesmerizing effect, almost hypnotic, and it just flows, and it just seems like it should just float across the wind, and it feels like you should have it up really loud, and the windows should be down, and you should feel the wind through your hair a little bit.
The whole record is, trying to think. It's right before he attempted an experiment with drum and bass, or whatever the hell it was called. But it's still leaning in that. Every song almost every song has this dance beat, even if the song itself is not particular. What am I trying to say?
It's not rave. It's not techno.
I tell you what, a lot of it sounds like sort of lounge jazz set to a more intense beat. What
are the German clubs called that have the big warehouse, the raves? They do those.
Well, Berghain is the big one.
Yeah.
Or Berghain. I know one. It's a festival held in this big factory.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of. But there's this feeling that it just seems to go on and on.
Oh yeah, techno. There's different types of techno.
Yeah, within the techno.
I need to explore this further, because a lot of these techno clubs in Europe, the building itself, the layout of the rooms is designed for that experience. They have rooms that are called cool down rooms, where you've been dancing, probably chemically stimulated, and so this is a different scene.
The ecstasy kicked in. You've been dancing for hours. You're beginning to overheat. So absolutely, cool down rooms.
Techno is one of those things I get into like in cycles. Like every 2 years, I'll explore it.
I remember there was a while you were also into this type of music that was like, it was the drug techno aspect. It was kind of, do you know what I'm talking about? Oh God.
Well, yeah, it's like there's different names.
Yeah.
But
totally lose me now. Sorry.
So anyway, and then on the way back from the trip, we listened to the Meat Puppets, Forbidden Places album, which is fantastic.
And that I realized I had seen the Meat Puppets. I think they were opening for Soul Asylum. Oh my god.
Years ago, when they were really big and they had the Too High to Die album, Rolling Stone had a cover article on them and everything. And they claimed in the article that they always did LSD before a show.
No,
And the journalist is like, well, how does that affect the show or something? And I guess Chris Kirkwood said, well, you can always depend on the guitar neck flopping over. Can you imagine?
No.
Oh my God, how would you function?
Nope. Nope.
I have done acid twice. Once the first time I had a complete wig out where I was fantasizing that I was a hooker walking down the street. I went for a walk. I went up 2 miles.
Fleur-de-lis in front of your
Well, that was the second
the
time.
second time.
But anyway, that's a whole story. But the second time, this guy and I drove all the way to Kennesaw to buy some acid from this guy who made it in his dorm room or apartment or whatever, college apartment. So it took forever and ever to kick in. And the only thing that really freaked me out was we were sitting at the kitchen table going over all these crazy diagrams that we were coming up with about time travel and stuff. And I looked across the table at him, and he had fleur-de-lis all over his face. And
The whole pattern of it?
Yeah, it's just like little, like you know how Gucci bags have that repeating pattern.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like that all over his face. And I saw that, and I turned away like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Just get a grip on yourself. I don't want to see anything. So I didn't really, except for that, I didn't really hallucinate.
I'm going to try to tell this, see if you remember this, but
Okay.
we can't say who it is.
Okay.
We were visiting with someone with our kids, and over dinner, one of the older women started talking about when she was a teenager doing acid, and she did the window painting where she would paint it on the eyelid, so it would go in through there. And the kids were like, I don't know, 9 and 11, and they're sitting there going, oh my God, because she was going on about tripping really hard.
Yeah, that's not
Stories
my
like
scene.
that
I'm
Kept
too.
our kids from doing drugs, alcohol, etc.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, yeah. Well, anyway, something else I was going to mention. But yeah, the Meat Puppets, great band, and I wish I had a few more of their records. I don't want to get any of the records they did when Chris was in jail.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Off the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel pleased that we were able to help our kids?
Yes, because
We maxed out the contributions for this year and next year.
well, look, I'm going to tell you something.
For how much
I know
we
I
can
have a
give
lot
them
of
tax-free, and that's awesome that we help them like that.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I know I talk shit about my parents a lot, but they did really help me financially a good bit, and
That this has happened.
yeah.
It's just
So I think it's only normal that we should turn around and help our kids, you know?
yeah. My dad has helped out in different ways through the years as his wife, and they're just so happy that we're turning around and returning the favor and doing the same thing for our kids, being generous, even more generous, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was lucky to, have college paid for. Yours didn't do that, really, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they paid for my college.
Oh.
I fucked it up. But in 5 minutes, we'll have an hour. So what do you want to do?
It's up to you. I'll let you run with it. When Reed was over here today, being able to talk to her about putting money away and how to get the highest rates on CDs and stuff like that. It felt good that we were able to help out our kids.
Yeah. All right, we're going to call it quits, and I'll start making this video and posting it.
Oh. Okay then.
Because I got to get out of here. All right, so
Yeah, good night.
hey, good night.